I'm Aaron Waldron here with the first JConcepts Pit Report from the 2014 1/8 scale IFMAR World Championships here at the Naxos Worlds Track in Messina, Italy. We're just a few blocks from the Mediterranean Sea here on the island of Sicily, and from up here on the driver's stand there's an incredible view of the mountain range behind us. But what's really important is how well you can see this racetrack. This course is going to provide an incredible challenge for the world's best buggy racers here, and let's go take a closer look at some of these obstacles. The engines are screaming here on the end of this long front straightaway, and it's pretty smooth, but to be honest, for the size, the actual straightaway is a little bit on the narrow side. It'll be interesting to see if the track surface breaks up a little bit and makes this a tougher section of the track, but right now, it's a freeway out here. After the end of that long, fast, and smooth straightaway, you go straight into a left-hand, almost 180-degree corner. There's curbing here on the left side. It's already starting to break up a little bit on the outside, and you go straight into a double. And as you can see, the takeoff of the jump starts before the end of the corner. Still, with the speed that the cars are carrying around the straightaway here, the double is actually pretty easy. But then we get into the first right-hand corner here, and we can see this is probably what the track surface is going to do a lot the next couple of weeks. It's already breaking up. This is a pretty significant pothole here, and this is a good time to check out what the surface of the track is like. It's actually dirt. It looks like there's a pretty serious gravel base under the top, but the track has been mixed with some sort of quickcrete or concrete or a plaster mixture, which is why the track is as hard as concrete in most areas, but we expect that a lot of it's going to break up. This single jump is a lot trickier than it looks, and you can see from the face of the jump there, the cars are leaving the ground before the top of the hill, and that's because it's kicking the cars up over forward, and that means that the driver's got to be on the gas in order to keep the car on all four wheels. And right after that, they hit into one of the most interesting sections of the track, a rumble strip that was built with 2x4s that have been laid together and buried in the track. And yeah, they're painted white and red, but it's difficult to see the texture from the driver's stand. The cars get really upset they're here as they try to get back on the throttle. One of the most interesting features on the track is actually not all that difficult. It's a raised peristyle corner up here that's built out of concrete and painted blue. But what a lot of the drivers haven't yet seen is that the lip right here on the top, going up the center of the track is already starting to break away. And when it's dark out, you can actually see the sparks from the chassis of the cars hitting the concrete right here. Corner and up one of the most deceiving sections of the track. It's a rising tabletop here. The cars don't actually leave the ground, but it is steeper than it looks from the driver's stand. So it's hard for the drivers to get the cars on the ground and back in control for the left-hand corner that's at the bottom, because that feeds into another really tricky section of the track. Mugen Seiki drivers here, Pettit and Chmielewski, and they were talking about the, let's call this the front porch section, because it's a bunch of concrete pavers that have created a little downstep section, but it's still got a few different surfaces here in the middle of the corner and one tricky little detail that you can't see from the driver's stand.
Yeah, mainly when you come down the stair steps, first thing is you need to be on the gas so that way when you get to the bottom and your front wheel drops off, you don't pitch over, because the beginning of this section is high bite with the rocks and everything like that. But then once you come over to the apex of the turn, you'll see that there's an edge where the concrete meets the tile, and that's catching the tires and everything here that, and with running harder compound tires, when you catch an edge like that, it's easier to flip them over. So that's kind of tricky, and you make sure you roll out. And then on the exit of this turn, it's very slippery, and then also you have another turn right after it, so you have to make sure you straight line as good as you can to be fast. But it's definitely a tricky section. It looks like some moisture is coming up and making it slick, so it's definitely tricky for sure.
And it's got to be tough. You're getting on the throttle here because, it's a little bit of a short straightaway here, so there's time to make up, a little bit of pace on someone that's slower. But, right after that jump, then there's another obstacle coming up.
Yeah. If you dive in too deep, that's where the concrete breaks up a little bit. It's almost like fluffy dirt from back home. And you get out there and you can't apex a corner to make a nice solid double coming into the, the double single there. And if you're wide on that, you're going to be in the fluff the whole way around.
Surprises in every corner here at Naxos World Track. Let's go check out the section that we're talking about. A little step down double here just adjacent to the front straightaway and driver stand, and it's right after they came out of that tricky cobblestone corner, but you land right into another right-hand corner. So while this is a chance to make up time, you definitely can't jump the gap a little bit too far. You got to be back on the tire, land back on the tires so you can get on the brakes, get the corner, and then get back on the gas. All right, after that little front side double step down jump is the biggest jump on the track. And while you cannot triple this, it's still about an 18-foot double. So the driver's got to be on the gas, getting out of that right-hand corner, and jump over this. And then don't slow down too much over the single jump, risk losing time. But of course, you got to make sure you don't nose over after the third jump. Get back on the ground so that you can get around this tight 180-degree right-hand corner. Another tricky corner here with a riser just before the apex. And you're already on the gas coming out of that 180, trying to get your speed up. You got to be on the brakes to slow down before the hill, but you got to let off the brakes so that the car doesn't dive over afterward. And then we head into one section of the track where a few drivers are exploring a couple of different options. This long sweeping left-hand corner is interrupted by this big spine jump in the middle, and that's presenting a choice for a couple of the drivers here. Rather than going single and then double these next two jumps, some drivers are going wide in the left-hand sweeper, launching off the spine, landing in here, and then singling into the corner. Not really sure yet if either option is any faster, but that one's definitely more spectacular. After that roller double or double roller section, that a couple of the drivers are picking different choices. You head into a chicane here that you can nearly, as you can see, go through it as a straight line. But of course, you know, a matter of inches, you get that wrong and you're going to pay the price here. This pipe is not really forgiving, and it's definitely starting to break up a little bit already. So we expect this track section of the track to evolve a lot as the surface starts to break up. It's important to carry a lot of speed through that chicane, not because this jump is big, but because this is just a high speed section of the track. And the landing jump is angled a little bit to the left, so you can throw a little style over it and get the car pointed in the right direction, because then it's back on the gas and into another slippery tile corner. If the floor of your bathroom looked like this after a remodel, you should fire your contractor, because the tile in this section of the track is not very flat at all. And it is really deceiving unless you come out here and actually walk on it on foot. You're coming out of a high-speed left-hand corner here, on the brakes on tile, and then it actually rises a little bit before a steep drop-off section, just entering the apex of the corner. And then it's a little bit of cobblestone and rocky tiles before you get back on slippery brick and get back on the gas to jump up a little bit into another left-hand sweeper. Come out of that tile corner into another sweeping left-hand turn that has a little bit of bank to it, into what Barry and Chris are calling the hardest section of the track here on the first day of practice.
Absolutely, hardest part. If you pay attention, 9 out of 10 people in every run is going to crash here, so it's a really important part to make sure that your car is lined up, and even if it's worth taking another half second to make sure you're straight, because once you jump the jump, there's a boundary down there that you don't want to hit that keeps people from crossing the loop, and you know, there's double-edged pipe and everything like that. So mainly what we try to do is come around the turn, hug in a little further inside than you normally think you should, jump the jump at a lower throttle rate than what it looks like it needs. With the face of the jump having a smaller lip, you really don't need that much throttle to get over it. You need your suspension to relax, kind of like a dirt bike uses a seat bounce. So lower throttle grab and just coast over it, and get to the grass section, which is real grabby and throw you all over the place and things like that. So it's a hard section, but from the driver's stand it looks real simple, and to most spectators it looks real simple, but for us up there on the driver's stand it's pretty hard.
And it looks like the biggest problem is the surface of this jump, because rather than being just a seamless transition from flat track level to the lip, it kind of rises and falls and it's all over the place, and I think that's what was causing a lot of the cars to jump sideways.
I think that's what a lot of the guys thought, if they could power over it, that it would make it easier to clear the jump, but that's really not the case. And then one of the things that I think the U.S. drivers struggle with initially is when they downside a nice jump, they like to jump on hard, and you'll notice about 10 feet past this lander is another kick, and it really upsets the cars coming onto the straightaway. The nice line is to maybe quarter throttle up to it as soon as the car lifts, grab back into the gas, sucking the car into the track, and a nice transition to the straightaway.
You know, when I was on one of my layovers flying in here today, I saw a Facebook clip of about 10 consecutive cars crashing over this jump in one shot. So thank you guys for explaining it. Hopefully some of your competitors aren't going to watch this video, and you'll give them the secret. If we need any indication on just how tough the left side of the track is, here's what all the pipes looked like when everyone got here. Brand new, freshly painted, and here's what they look like after just one day of practice on the left side over here. Everyone landing on the pipe, scraping all the fresh paint off, and doing a little skateboard 50-50 grind all the way down the right side pipe here. And then there's another little riser that Chris mentioned coming into the final corner of the track. And that's causing a lot of problems on the other side, as the left side pipe over here is already nice and destroyed. And then you'll see there's an orange barrier here to stop any cars that fly off this side of the track over here from crossing over the timing loop prematurely, because then it's just one more sweeping left-hand corner and back onto that long, smooth, fast straightaway. That's one lap here at the Naxos World Track, and look forward to seeing just how much this track determines the outcome of this race.